Welcome back to the channel. My name's EagleEye22OZ. In case you didn't know me already, welcome as well. Today I thought we'd take a quick look at the official behind the scenes trailer that we were given at the Sony State of Play. They showed off a lot of concept art during that video, and I thought I'd compile a list of all the images shown in that trailer and go through them maybe and analyze them a little bit further, look into them, zoom in, and see what we can see from them. They are concept art, so none of this is official confirmations of what's to come in the game, but it might be something that we can theorize a little bit into potentially what might be in the game, because it is concept art. It's the ideas that the developers, the artists had with building this world, and something that we can use to theorize what could potentially be in the game. So with that, let's kick it off into the first image shown, and that one is a Thestral. So this is when they're discussing about the lore in the game and such, that it is already so rich, and all they had to do to harness those elements and just build a game out of it. So yeah, this one I think is just basically showcasing ideas of Thestrals. This next one is to showcase more of the lore, like magical beasts, such as the Hippogriff, and I doubt that type of creature will be in the game, but dragons on that theme, as well as the witches around it. This next one is just a little overview of Hogwarts as they're discussing throughout the trailer. Not sure if there's too much that we can spot here in this one, but nice little view of the castle to showcase what from afar it might look like. This next one here is, in my mind, I think it's just showcasing sort of like the idea of wizards coming together. I'm not sure what that witch here in the bottom left is holding. Could be potentially something to look into, but to me, this just shows the witches and wizards' outfits that they're wearing in at the time. This one is a little bit more chalked heavy, full of the things that we can maybe potentially expect in Hogsmeade, since this looks to be like Hogsmeade, as we can tell by on the right here, going from right to left, we have what looks to be Dogweed and Deathcap, which sells exotic plants and flowers. Then we have Zonko's here, of course, the joke shop that was in Hogsmeade and still is in Hogsmeade. Then next to that, we have the Spint Witch's sporting needs, which you can probably get all your sporting needs for, I'd say, Quidditch and such there. Next to it, it looks to be a cauldron bubbling purple with purple smoke above, so I'd suggest maybe that might be potentially J. Pippin's potions mentioned in the Hogsmeade shop list. Next to that, although we have the sporting needs, we could have the Quidditch supplies shop further down, just based on the fact that the house banners are present. That could be up for potential debate if you'd like, comment down below what you might think that might be. As we go further up, these might just be potentially houses. This one could be a shop, not sure what it would be based on just what we have with the concept art. And now further on to the left, I'd say this could be potentially the owl post, just considering the icon that is shown on the sign up above. Yeah, it does look like maybe an owl of sorts, but another factor we could consider is the fact that these two owls, even one here and one here, are flying towards this place, which looks to have the different landing areas for owls, it would seem. Then we have our next shop here, which seems unfamiliar as to what it could be. What's interesting is this kind of looks like a time turner piece. Now, I'm not an expert on all the Hogsmeade shops, so let me know down in the comments below if you know what this shop might be. But to me, that looks like a time turner piece almost. So not sure what that would resemble with this witch or wizard entering the building, and what looks to be, I would even say that these almost look like wand boxes displayed like vertically perpendicularly against the window, but not sure. And then the last little I wouldn't say shop, but the most famous one that we can remember. Not the most famous, but one of the most famous is the Three Broomsticks, of course. So that'll be the restaurant where I'm wondering if we can buy food to regain health, maybe in. That would be an interesting mechanic to go sit down there and rest up, I guess, your health and stamina and such, depending on what's available in the game. But then another little interesting fact I noticed here, this is just concept art, but it does seem to be themed around the holiday season with the lighted up decorated tree here, as well as the garlands around the building here, and what looks to be snowfall, of course, on the ground. Moving on to the next one, I think this one could just be a painting determined by the cracks that we can see evident around the face and throughout the entire painting, really. This could just be a portrait that they were basing off of Merlin, maybe. Not sure on that front. Not sure if he was an owl handler, but it could be what they used to just to create the paintings possibly in Hogwarts Legacy of Merlin going into the game. It could also be potentially our headmaster at the school that we don't know of yet. My theory could be that the headmaster is that Professor Fig that we are joining in the trailer, and it seems to be accompanying us on some of these journeys. He could be potentially the headmaster, but he could also just be a professor himself. Defense against the dark arts, maybe. But as far as this concept art is, I think this is probably Merlin, and they could be basing it completely off of this painting, and that's who. Maybe we even get it will be like years back. I'm not even sure how many years back, but maybe our character is able to connect with Merlin in some way or another, and so that's why they're showcasing this, and this would be more Merlin's portrait. But could be some random guy, not sure. Let me know down in the comments what you think. And this next image is of Honeydukes, of Hogsmeade once more, except from a different sort of perspective and concept basis. So from right to left again, we have obviously Honeydukes there, and then in the middle we have three broomsticks, as indicated by the three broomsticks. Pretty simple there. And then a quick look on the left shows this cauldron-looking sign and something that says ID, looks to be WEN apostrophe S. So my best bet would be that this is Ceridwen's Cauldrons. So simple shop there to pick up your cauldrons. Not sure if we would need that in the game. Maybe to upgrade the speed potentially of our potion making in the room of requirement that it seems that we have to do. Not sure. I think that would be cool if all of these shops provide you a benefit in some way to enter them and enhance your gameplay, your abilities and such, or just further progressing the story even would be cool too. And even unlocking some of them maybe as you progress through the game could be a little neat feature where, oh yeah, you don't have access to the three broomsticks yet because it's locked or something for some odd reason in the game, but you have to do this quest and then, hey, it's open again. That'd be cool. A little progression element to exploring Hogsmeade. This next one is of what looks to be in the kitchens, and it seems like it potentially could be a scene where we interact with the house elves in the kitchen by making some food of sorts. So this could be us right here making the food, and then this could be our companions that we just have randomly, not the ones that shown in the trailer, but these could be companions judging us. And this guy's saying, yeah, food looks great, and the elf's like, oh well, thanks, we helped make it too. And then this guy's saying, no, not for me. He's about to barf, it looks like. And then this house elf down here just seems to be chopping and prepping some butter, I think. Not too sure, but that would be a fun little interaction if we can help the house elves make something in the kitchen. Not sure, but it's a neat little concept art. This next one, it's definitely on the darker tones, indicated by almost the black and white hue saturation level to this image. Again, this is concept art, so it probably wouldn't happen in game. It could. Drawing the life right out of you by changing the scene to overall black and white. That could be interesting. But one thing I noticed in the background here is this sort of structure in the background. And to me, this could just be a simple doorway entrance and such, but a fun theory that you could create from this is that maybe that's the Mirror of Erised, because like we don't know. I mean, let me know down in the comments if we do know that it was at Hogwarts or wasn't at Hogwarts before the first movie, but maybe this is where it was kept and we're exploring a dungeon or a cave that contained it, and we then walk up to it and see what our desire as the character has within the mirror. That could be an interesting story element. Not sure. Let me know down in the comments. What do you think? Could just be a simple cave entrance with the structure. And like, I'm not even sure what these things on the side would be. Maybe like bones of some sorts, thinking on the darker nature of this image. But yeah. This one, I think, not too sure if it has to do with actually what we'll see in game, but because of the fact that these don't really look like students, they look like middle-aged to older-aged men that are doing this dissection, though, of a werewolf, which seems like they're hinting at maybe potentially some werewolf interactions involved, or just something around the story where the werewolves are involved in it. Not sure. So we'll see what, because this woman could be middle-aged, but she could be also a younger student. So these could be some professors. Maybe this is our character if we chose a female character. But yeah, not sure. And this puzzle in our next one is probably just one of the puzzles that we need to solve in the game. It's just sort of giving concepts for how the puzzle may work, where you have a light source, or this could be the light source, but to me it seems that light from a pillar passes over the pointer to a key. So 2 keys of the 7 choices that ring the puzzle must be highlighted, 1 per each pillar. So this is a shatter. So it looks like some sort of light goes this way. I'm not sure it's from here or here, but it does go this way, and then hits the shadow pointer, which blocks, maybe creates a shadow onto the element that we have to highlight. Yeah, so not really sure where this would be in the game, but just it seems like it's an example of a puzzle we'll have to probably solve, called the Tundra Gate, as you can see in the top left. Yeah, and going on to the next one, this is just a swamp scene. Not sure too much relevancy to what this may be in the game. Could just potentially be an area in the swamp that we've seen in the Forbidden Forest area, in that tweet the Hogwarts Legacy released a little whiles back. This just seems like some example imagery they created to showcase maybe one of the potential outskirts villages that we can go explore. Not sure if it's going to be a direct one-to-one lookalike of this, but it just seems like this might be an example of it, and we can see some I'm not really sure if those are cows, but yeah, some animals that we can interact with, like horses and such. Looks to be some chickens that girl's feeding. What's interesting is this little statue here. Not really sure what that could be. It kind of looks like either a dog or deer sitting with, like a dog with horns, or a deer sitting on this. So not sure what that could be, but again, this could just be an example image they created to showcase, and they threw in some magical elements to it with that statue. On our next one, this looks like a shrine of sorts and a fountain held up pretty precariously by that one rock, by the way. And the elements that are highlighted are these little white dots throughout. So this could just mean that it's sparkling. This could also mean that it's sparkling, but this one seems like could be an entrance to a cave. Maybe we drop down swimming element to the game that looks like water there. So like a well of sort. Not only with the shrine, but a well. Maybe we could drop down, or that could just be glass where we stand on it and something happens. Maybe I don't think it's to transport us, because I do know of the little green flame flu networks that we keep seeing pop up in some of the trailer and the tweet footage. But over on the right, not really sure what this fountain does, but it is interesting to see that they're highlighting these like almost like constellation features amongst the rocks. Not sure what that could mean, but it could just be something that lights up when it's activated, or when we complete a puzzle, it lights up of some sort. But interesting little detail. This thing is the collectible sanctuary wood. So I'm assuming sanctuary wood, as indicated here by saying releasing the sanctuary burl wood, which is vacuumed up into your inventory when you pass close by to it, is an element that we just need to use within our potions, our equipment making maybe. One interesting thing could be that we can use this to make new wands, or more likely wand skins, to change the look of our wand up in the middle of the game. Because yes, I know, like, we want to choose our wand right at the beginning, and that's the one we use, but you know they're gonna have it so that you can like collect different skins for your wand, so that you have the same wand but now it looks a little different. It doesn't change any of the features maybe, but it just changes the way it looks. I don't know, it could be completely wrong, and it could just be a collectible that we have to make for our potions and such. But I don't know, I thought that was an interesting idea if they use that. This to me just seems like an concept image for what they may choose to make potentially the Whomping Willow look like, as indicated by the larger, older looking tree. Not sure how old the Whomping Willow actually is. I got to go back and watch the movies to determine that. I think Snape says it in the second movie when they crash into it. But to me, this does seem like the Whomping Willow, just because we can see the potential entrance that we had in the Prisoner of Azkaban movie, where Ron was dragged into first. But it could also just be a normal tree that we're standing next to that they're using throughout the game world. But I don't know. To me, it seems significant enough that it could be the Whomping Willow. This next one, I think, to me, resembles a little bit of a puzzle of some sort, where when you solve it, it looks like the image on the right, where the flames are lit and the wizard opens his arms like so. And when it's unsolved or closed, depending on what it is, the wizard's arms look like that, and the pillars are unlit. It does have a little interesting to note just now, what looks to be a goblin. It could also be a house elf, but I think that could be a goblin image. So maybe this is an entrance to a goblin dungeon of some sort. Because we do know we're going to be fighting off against some of the goblins in the game, and I think it's in relation to another image we'll see in a few seconds, or in a few minutes. This next one is, to me, this seems like the concept art for how we will be arriving at Hogwarts, because we do have that little bit at the beginning of the initial trailer we received of Hogwarts Legacy, where it had that little text, late 1800s, and it was this kind of type of carriage that someone was arriving to the school. And so to me, this seems like the way that everyone is arriving to the school, because if we put back to the 1800s, I'm actually not sure if we'll have the Hogwarts Express, because I don't think trains, they probably were. They probably were created. I could just be completely wrong, but maybe they didn't have the Hogwarts Express specifically, so maybe they used this carriage system to bring all the students to school. And maybe that scene in the trailer where there's one flying in by itself is us arriving late to the school of some sort. A late arrival, one would say. But yeah, this is kind of an interesting image, with arriving at night with the fireflies, it looks like, in the air. That if they show this, that would be cool. I think that would look really nice. And this is just another overview of Hogwarts, it seems, with a little crossing bridge over here, another potentially exit they could make in the game to leave. It looks into a foresty area by the lake. One interesting little thing, like, to me, that at first this just seemed like a normal bird, and I know this is concept art, so the scaling isn't entirely correct, but to me that looks like a very large bird. I wouldn't say it's like dragon size, but a larger bird. I would even say maybe this could be a phoenix flying around. And when we talk about phoenix, because I know we talk about the Dumbledore, so maybe this I mean, again, this is concept art. This is just a theory. Could be a phoenix, and maybe we have young Dumbledore arriving in the year that we arrive. Young Albus Dumbledore, that is. It could be also even his brother, Aberforth. Aberforth. Yeah, Aberforth. There we go. Gotta get that correct. Arriving to the castle. So who knows? Could be just a bird as well. But to me, the scale just seemed a little bit off. That I thought I'd make note of it, maybe. This is another swampish looking area. And to me, it looks like potentially we're going on a quest at night through maybe the Forbidden Forest with the swamp area, and maybe this is like a potential quest area that we have to find a hidden item or something, explore it at the very least. But yeah, it seems like an interesting area that would be worth exploring. I'd definitely spend a couple hours there. This one, it's interesting because this is going back to our previous image where we had that wizard unsolved versus solved appearance. And so this to me seems like the exact same area, especially because it has the stone pillar. Now, is this one like unique area that we'll find throughout the world, or is this a recurring thing that we'll find throughout the world? And if so, why is it recurring? Why would it be recurring? Again, that's theorizing to the fact that it is recurring, so maybe this is a unique area and this is an official entrance to a goblin. But noting the goblin icon, maybe there are multiple goblin dungeons we find throughout the world, and this is the entrance that we find to enter it. And seeming that and maybe it's not an unsolved versus solved aspect. Maybe we have to think of it as this dungeon's available for us as the player to explore. And then the other version of this wizard where its arms were crossed and the flames were out is maybe it's locked. Could be something like that. One interesting of note is this other tree that we see in the other image. So maybe there are just a bunch of these trees, and that was just an example of a tree asset that they're going to include in the game. So could be wrong on that one. This is an interesting image because it almost blends real imagery with concept art imagery. Just with the mountains, they look a little bit more realistic, like they photoshopped bits of the photo into it. But this is an interesting thing because at first glance you're like, oh, that almost looks like Hagrid's hut, like with the style and everything. But again, it's not called Hagrid's hut, obviously in the 1800s because it wasn't alive. But what's interesting is that this little flag here with that, the chimney burning and such, but also look at the wizard standing under this entire canopy of a building that at first glance seems like, oh yeah, they'd be the height, maybe just shorter than that. With the door height. But then you look closely and you see what looks to be a wizard or witch standing there next to a table, and the tables are even there for reference size as well. So this is actually much larger than initially thought. And looking through it, like we have pots and such, or not pots, cauldrons maybe, with multiple different tables. You got the door to this with the flag and such. What I'm thinking this is maybe like a little shop along the outskirts areas that we come across, where these are crafting tables of sorts, maybe. Not sure. Because like if the only place that we can craft our potions is in the room of requirement, then we're going to have to make frequent trips back to Hogwarts Castle, depending on where we are in the world. So in my mind, it would make more sense to have little shops along the way that can take care of some of the things that we need to top up or something, craft more of and such. So this could potentially be that. We go to the next one. This to me shows us the grap horns, and how they potentially may be kept in our menagerie area, because this does seem similar to that lakefront area where we placed the cottage in the trailer. So this could just be their pen that they're kept in when we capture them in game. Not sure what this sign actually says here, or its relevancy to it, but it looks like Ernesto Jags Veterinary Supplies. So maybe not. Maybe it isn't in the menagerie. Maybe it's something that we can come across, and there's supplies that we can get for our pets, like treats, maybe that brush that the player is seen using in the trailer, although that does look magical, so we could probably just create it with like a spell or some sort of action that we do as a player. But I don't know, it looks interesting. Like maybe this is in the menagerie and we just have our vet supplies station here located next to one of the animal pens. If we go to the next one, this seems like a bit of a wasteland area within the mountains, I'd say. I almost thought this was a ship, but on further inspection, this kind of just looks like a rock carved out in an angle down like that. It's positioned here. It's very icy, it seems, with all that, so it's a colder climate. Obviously, animals aren't surviving very well out here. That looks to be almost like a reindeer elk or oh, wow, what is Harry's thing called? Anyways, his Patronus. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get back on that one. I totally am drawing a blank here. Need my coffee, I guess. But yeah, there's just a little wasteland of an area here that we can have and explore. Not too much that I can see within it or in the background of it all, but yeah, interesting. To me, this next one seems like it's the owlry with the tower that we can see all the owls flying around. So simple enough. It's just the owlry with potentially maybe like a fall season with the the reds and oranges amongst the greens. And then some witches and wizards here climbing it up. That's one thing I will note. I hope this game really has just a lot of NPCs walking about doing. It seems like they will in the Hogwarts areas, but I'm wondering if they'll have that in the outskirts areas, but just around like the areas, like someone going out for a walk, you'll pass by them on the way. That would be definitely a simple thing to add, but it adds liveliness to the game, and it just makes the world feel more alive and more immersive. This next one is another overview of Hogwarts. It seems not too much that I can see in the backgrounds that we haven't seen before. Just an overview, general scale of Hogwarts Castle. This one is interesting for the fact that they do have the wizard silhouette there for scale to showcase a few of these things. What looks to be next to a dead tree of some sort on a hill. I'm not sure if this would be the Whomping Willow, but it does look to have some significant things next to it, like a tombstone almost even. But what these little pods might be, I'm not really sure if they'd have to do with transport, just because there's so many of them in this area. To me, it seems like we'd be able to, hate to use the word, but loot something within them, each of them. Maybe something we can craft on. Why they're here, I'm not really sure, because they do look like they almost look like the menagerie thing before it grows in the room of requirement when we like throw it down and sorts. And what the wizard may be doing with these, I'm not really sure, because there does look to be another one here in the foreground, as well as the backgrounds of them all. So not really sure what these would be and why there's so many of them in this area, but maybe it's something that we have to loot. That's why I would say loot, is because there's so many of them in that area. This next image is of a little bit of a graveyard area. I'm not really sure too much if this is, because this looks like an abandoned village area. Because as you can see by all the vines, the boarded up windows, this is obviously an area that was hit hard by something. So we do know about the evil magic that's spreading throughout the world in this game at the time of playing it. And so maybe this potentially could be a village that was hit by it and was completely just utterly wrecked and boarded up, closed off. Villagers either moved out or they stayed behind and got consumed by the evil magic. Not too sure on that front, but a potentially interesting game location and reason why we're coming here is this grave here seems lit up for, like, could just be for the ambiance of it all, vibes of it all, but why would they keep the lantern lit? And who's keeping that lantern lit? There is a little light coming from that window, so maybe there is someone living here. But another reason why that may be lit is maybe just a game thought on it is that we enter this tomb as a sort of graveyard dungeon type thing, where, because we know there might be we don't know, but there's most likely going to be dungeons in the game. I think we do know. I think the trailer did confirm that, but we do. So there's probably going to be some dungeons. This could just be a nice little graveyard entrance to a dungeon that we have to explore and go into throughout the game. This next one is another outer look from Hogsmeade, as you can tell by the little sign there. That's probably the Hogsmeade sign, as the rest of the village looks large enough for it to be. But also, right there, welcome to Hogsmeade. So on the left here, it does say the Hengist Tree. Not sure what that means, but it does have an arrow pointing there, so I'm not sure if we can see it. Right here, that looks to be potentially the Hog's Head sign, and it does have a little bell ring for service. I'm wondering if the player can interact with that. Again, this is concept art, so it might not be in the game, but that would be cool if you could have the little ring there to interact with, and you get teleported, or you can get something from it. I don't know. I doubt it would be in the game, but it's just a little thought that would be fun. And then to the left, not sure what this sign says behind here. Maybe Fountain. I don't think it would be Fountain of Fortune, because I think that's in Diagon Alley, but it could be something else. Right here, that's probably the Three Broomsticks sign for that. I like this little sign right here that says no trolls or vampires, werewolves either. So that's a little fun little thing, like trying to say no, we're gonna keep it to the witches and wizards for now. There's I mean, not really inclusive though on them to just because they're a werewolf. Like, could Lupin enter Hogsmeade then? I don't know. Anyways, what's interesting is the vampires. So I don't know if we had confirmation of vampires in the game, and this is just concept art again. Always saying this is concept art, so take this for a grain of salt. Take this out as a grain of salt. But vampires, maybe confirmation. Right down here, not really sure what that says. Wind of some sort. Should maybe on the world. Yeah, not really sure what that says. This one respects spell limits. Obviously, no one's allowed to just fight in Hogsmeade. Like, respect your spell limits. Quidditch sporting needs. That was similar to the shop we saw. Frogs sold here. Solstice herbs here on the bottom. And then WW. So not really sure what that is, but broom services. So yeah, not really sure. But yeah, just a fun little sign thing for the concept art that potentially could hint at some of the stores we'll be able to explore. This is not really well, it's kind of a concept art, but it's the map view of a certain section. I don't think this is an entire map view. I'm gonna put that out there right there and then, because of these little codes. So we can see 6, 6, 6, 5, 5, 5, 5, 6, 6, 4, 5, 4, and such. Probably further out. But also, I don't think we can really see Hogwarts in any of these areas. So if this was the entire map view, it would probably have to include it. This potentially could be Hogsmeade, but I don't think, I'm not 100% on that. I don't think so. I don't think it's that far into the mountains. It is in the mountainy area, but then Hogwarts would have to be close by, and I don't think it's any one of these either. These seems to be little small village huts, because this asset seems to be replicated multiple times. That looks to be though dungeon entrances that we have to explore. These pillars, I'm not really sure. Those are interesting point of aspects, because there are village kind of things. Then there's huts, as we can see from some of these. But yeah, that's interesting that might be a dungeon entrance, and these pillars are placed throughout as well. I'm wondering if these pillars maybe are Floo Network fast travel points, because they do seem to be attached to statues rather than fireplaces. So that could be potentially something. But yeah, I think these are dungeon entrances. So this could be a bigger, larger area. Amongst the mountains, we have another hut and another Floo Network and another mountainous dungeon entrance. That could be something. But yeah, I don't think this is showcasing the entire thing. And I think what these codes mean is, to me, they seem like like a numbering scheme for zoning that developers and world builders would use when making the game. They'd say, okay, I'm working on 6.5, and then you could potentially create that. I'm not sure. I'm not fully knowledgeable on world building in the video game development, but that just seems like zoning that they would use. Like, okay, instead of talking about giving a specific hut name, you just say, okay, 6.5, and then you know where to go to work on it. So I think that's what that has to do. And again, that's not the entire map view, so there's much more. Obviously from 1 to 6, so there potentially could be even more higher than 6 zones. So this map could be quite large. This next image is just a nice little, it's a beauty of an image, I'll say, with a little waterfall here with the sun setting or dawning, rising, I mean, with the wizard here. Seems to be walking along this path. But one interesting thing is this doesn't seem fully natural because of this tile work that we can see down here. So to me, it could be potentially meaning that there's a building nearby that we're exploring and such. Because like, yeah, there's railing here. That's definitely metal work, stone work with the tiling, of course. And yeah, I think this could be either like a building nearby or a cave that we're exiting or exploring of sorts. So yeah, it's interesting that they have not just natural objects here in the foreground. But yeah, this next one I think is a little bit interesting in 3 ways because one, this sort of bridge thing up above. I'm wondering if we can go across it. It's weird the fact that it has these pillars that look like they should have went all the way down. And so this is maybe a dilapidated bridge of some sort. So will we be able to walk across it and go up high like that? That would be cool because more areas to explore, the better. I'm always for that. But just having it in the background is also nice. But what was its purpose? So at least describe to us what its purpose was. But again, this is concept art, just showing in the design details. But why would they design a concept art with a bridge in the background like that? Not really sure, unless that was significant in some way. Another little piece here is this looks to be like a bit of a castle that was broken off. Not sure how it would have got here, or maybe this is just a rock that was carved out by potentially this troll. What looks to be like a troll, at least, in the background here, which is not too far from where the wizard's standing. So I'm not sure if we see this in game and we have to interact with them and we invade their huts. I don't know. Can we just leave them alone? Like, I don't know. He looks like he's just minding his business. Why do we gotta roll up here? Maybe we're walking towards this thing instead and we could just disregard the troll there in the background and be like, hey, how's it going? Have a good day. But yeah, it's an interesting scene with some elements. This next one as well is a little bit interesting because it also, yeah, again, this is concept art, but why would they put concept art of something that has lava? So to me, this looks like it's a mountainy area that has an active bit of lava or volcano maybe going on. And quick glance, you're like, okay, yeah, mountainy area, but what's blending in? I don't know. It blended in at an initial thought, but until I look closer, is we got a dragon over here. All right, we got a dragon, and that dragon is looking right at the camera, at least. I'm not sure there's any wizard in the area, but lava, dragon, maybe a area, like this is a pretty flat area that you could probably potentially explore. Maybe this is a battle area that we have to face off against a dragon. Tame a dragon? I don't know. How to Train Your Dragon featured in Hogwarts Legacy. Let's get it going. Excuse me. This next one, getting closer to the ending of these here, is just a coastal area. As we can see with the water, it seems in the background. Could be potentially the same area that we saw in the initial trailer when we were riding that hippogriff with the sunset. Could be that area. Not sure what's happening here in the background. I think those are just smokestacks from chimneys, but the buildings do look like it is low resolution and it is concept art, but they do look maybe dilapidated. So maybe this is a burning village we're coming to investigate. But a few paths to get up to it, and then yeah, this overall overlooking scene with maybe potentially another building up top. I like this. If this is like just a small area we can explore, then that's awesome. That's awesome. This next image is basically it's when they're talking about how you're a fifth year, which is very unusual, arriving at Hogwarts. So there's a bit of an edge and a bit of a mystery. Not sure if it's too relevant to what they were talking about, but it just seems like one of the walkways that'll be around Hogwarts to pass across. Not sure where this one goes. Let me know down in the comments if you know where this goes, where it leads to, because this goes to like that courtyard area. But where's the camera, basically, on the side the camera's on? Where does that go to? But otherwise, it's a beautiful scene, and this guy's definitely in a hurry, it seems, or his walking animation just needs some work. Same with these two. These guys seem like they're running. This one is an interesting one. So this is when they're talking about the ancient magic has been around for a long time, and that Hogwarts itself is a stronghold in ancient magic, and the avatar, the player, has the ability to sense it and possibly wield it or control it. That was a quote straight from Moira lady in the trailer. So to me, it's interesting because this could just be concepts for ancient magic that they came across in some books and pages. Like these could look like scans of pages from a old fantasy descriptions of some sort. But it is interesting that they would show us this while talking about the ancient magic because, okay, if we take a look at the left here, it looks to be two dragons. And the red and blue, which I thought was a nice little maybe subtle nod, like maybe this wasn't created for that, but they're showing it for the subtle nod of the Dueling Dragons ride in the Wizarding World in Orlando that used to be there before it was Hagrid's motorbike adventure. But otherwise, that dragon is just going to town on the people. That one looks already done for, and then this dragon is just going to town. So pretty violent of dragons. I know dragons are violent. They're not violent, but they're hostile. So yeah, okay, that's expected. But like, wow. And then this one was an interesting image because it has what looks to be a witch using her wand against this humanoid type creature with a weird, interesting, I wouldn't say weird, I would just say an interesting mask or facial feature that is on them. And it looks to be like they're holding, like levitating this goblet, which has a little red drop. And the red drop is what's the most interesting because there has been theories going around about Sebastian Sallow's sister having a blood curse. Maybe this has to do with that instead of the ancient magic bit. Not too sure on that front, but it is interesting that they would show us something like this. And it's especially because the two either snakes or dragons. I think these are dragons coming off of this witch symbol killing, but I could be wrong. And then over to the right, we have another image, what looks to be of a woman potentially with maybe a curse bound to her of some sorts. Not sure what the peacocks, I think those are peacocks, have to do with it, but she's surrounded by flames. She's covering up her face with this cloak. I thought this was her hair at first, but this is her hair. And then this is a cloak covering her face and hair. And then her fingers, yeah, looking sharp and elongated of some sort. So not sure what that should mean. But again, this entire image was shown while they're talking about the ancient magic that the player has the ability to sense and possibly wield or control it. So if we go on to the next three images, these ones are just of the Gryffindor common room, the Slytherin common room, and the Hufflepuff common room. And just taking a look through them, I'm not too sure. It is quite interesting that the owls are flying around in this room at the top. I guess it's just free roaming. That'll be interesting if they put that into the game. Just have your owls free roaming above you. Give it a nice little owl ambiance. I don't know if they'd implement it in the game, but getting pooped on by one might be funny. Surprised there wouldn't be more on the floor then if they're letting them do this. But yeah, it's an interesting look on the Gryffindor common room. Not too much that I can see in the background that we don't already see in the trailer. The Slytherin one, this one to me it looks better than the trailer does, to be honest. This to me looks more like what Slytherin's common room should look like. It's a lot more Victorian, a lot more regal. It is dark, but it also has these windows to provide green-lit light. Because I believe the Slytherin common room is attached to the Black Lake. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but that's what I think I know of that. So there should be more of the windows that are letting in the green lit light from the lake. But yeah, it just seems a lot more rich and vibrant, even in the dark state that it showcases to me than the trailer showcased. And then the Hufflepuff common room. Always good to see. I think this is the one that's attached to the kitchen in Hogwarts. So it's a nice little vibe to it. And I wonder if you can, again, transport between the two. That'd be cool. But I do love this like extended ceiling in the middle of the room with all the windows and the light shining down on the plants and stuff. This is like their area where they grow the plants the most. It just seems interesting, and if they can put in some beauty of God rays, that room would look excellent. And these holes here into the other parts of the room maybe remind me a little bit of like the Hobbit rooms of sorts. It's interesting that they do have something here. That looks like a URL. I wonder if that's something we should maybe investigate. If there's a higher resolution version of this image, but that looks like a URL to me. .com. Interesting. I might investigate that further. And then this next one. So this one is, I recognize that doorway. I recognize that classroom, as they're saying in the behind the scenes video. And then they say, mostly it's going to be an entirely new wizarding world that no one's ever experienced. So this to me seems like a potential puzzle room. Not too sure what the pattern here is on the walls with the Roman numerals, because we have 1, 1, 17, 6, 36, 12, 20. What the relevancy to that is. But one little interesting thing here I noticed on the side, this little statue looking thing, I don't know if it's exactly the same, but to me that reminded me of that Fantastic Beasts movie creature where it turned invisible and helped them tame that growing and shrinking creature. Yeah, it looks like that invisible one, the hair on it. Yeah, so not really sure what this room would be. Maybe this is a classroom even. But to me, it seems like it would be a puzzle that we have to get through the door to solve. So yeah, not too sure. Then we have another swamp image. To me, this seems like it could be in the Forbidden Forest like the other one did, but nothing too much of note. But this to me, I didn't even notice at first, but then looking a little closely, it looks like a Kelpie that Newt rides in the Fantastic Beasts movies. So that'd be interesting if they include the Kelpies. That might be this is just concept art, but that could be a confirmation then of Kelpies in the game, which if you can, okay, there we go. Now we're talking about maybe sea mounts to get across the lake. Sure, you could fly, but could you ride a Kelpie across the lake? Come on. And this next one it's interesting because there's a little bit of a pattern here. So maybe this is potentially something that we can interact with. It almost looks like they put in, a silhouette of a wizard here for scale. Because they do have one here too. I think that's the same silhouette. So that's for scale and everything, but a nice little mountains area. Not too sure on what else is included in the image, but just showcasing a general landscape of one of the areas. And again, this one's just more mountain areas. Nothing too much that I can notice in the backgrounds of it all. I don't see any villages or anything. I do note that there's these little red patches here. Not sure what that could mean, but yeah, it's interesting because these almost look like tracks, but no, they wouldn't be tracks in the game. But yeah, so just more mountainy area. And this one, to me, an immediate thought, I thought, okay, we got the Mines of Moria from Lord of the Rings in the game. No, I'm just kidding. No, but it does look like it looks like almost a castle built right into the mountain with, You got your pillars here, the tower pillars here, the wall itself, the entrance. Yeah, to me, this looks like it's something that was built into the mountain, and it's obviously flagged off with a flag here by the character, and these little banners posted up here. So potentially, maybe this could be a mountain dungeon, similar to the entrance that we saw on that map view in the mountains. This could be potentially a dungeon entrance that we have to explore. So yeah, that'll be interesting. I like that this one's a little bit more flagged off. Like maybe this was a previous like civilization area. Well, I wouldn't even say previous because like those banners look new, the flag looks new, and again, this is concept art. But going off that, then yeah, this looks like it would be established still. This is another view of Hogwarts. Not too much that shows anything different, just another grand view of the beauty of that castle. That is going to be wonderful to explore, and the outside of it as well as the inside of it. This next one is a little bit interesting because it does look like it has like a bit of miscellaneous items. Some of them are covered up in sheets. There's cobwebs shown throughout here on the ground with our player lighting his wand via Lumos. Some chests in the background, statues of sorts. So to me, this could just be like a hidden room we've entered in a building, but the castle sort of look to it suggests that this might be in Hogwarts. So maybe this could just be concept for us as the player entering the room of requirement for the first time, because we are a new student to Hogwarts. So we don't know about the room of requirement, so we're introduced to the room of requirement. So maybe this could be that concept art for that scene that happens. This next one, I'm not sure if this is actually in the castle or not, because just on the way it looks with the room, what's in it, this could be like the astronomy tower professor area. Yeah, like the astronomy professor's area, because it is mentioned in the trailer they're mentioning there is these other places that are only mentioned in the books or just alluded to. So to me, this could just be in the astronomy tower. I'm just going off the fact that there's a globe here with constellations on it though, so it could be some other professor's room, or it could just be an abandoned house somewhere else. The only reason I say that is because why would the astronomy tower be so dilapidated? Like, look at these cobwebs. Why would it be like that? Unless the professor there just doesn't care about cleaning, because the chair doesn't seem to have any cobwebs. So I will give them that, and that their desk seems this. Well, I don't know, because this is concept art, but there's cobwebs around that quill. So I don't know. I don't think this is in the castle because of the way that it looks so old and unused with all the cobwebs and the dust even floating in the air with the god ray hitting it. So to me, this seems like potentially someone's house that we are investigating, because it's concept, yes, but they're alluding to the places only mentioned in the books when they show this image. So to me, it has to be something significant that we've known about in the books. So let me know down in the comments what you think it might be, because maybe it is something in the books that I'm just not thinking of right now. But to me, it could be either, yeah, the astronomy tower that just doesn't, the professor's room that doesn't get used very often, like very, very often, or it could be someone's house. This is a concept, it seems, for that bit in the initial trailer that we received of the spiraling bricks that opens up and expands. So to me, it seems like maybe this is a passageway into another further part of the level that we're exploring. And maybe to me, the spiraling bricks is either just normal magic, or maybe us as the player can only interact with it because we have that ancient magic that we could potentially wield to open it. And maybe that's why we're coming to this place. This next room is concept while they're talking about studying history and the architecture that would be in this world. To me, this seems like it would just be concept art for maybe the divination room. Just based on the magic, the crystal balls here on the tables, and a little bit of the runics along the chalkboards and the walls, art and such up top. That might even suggest I think those are zodiac signs, are they not? So, yeah, like Gemini, Taurus, Aquarius. Yeah, so that could be, it could be astronomy, but with the crystal balls, I think this is divination. And this looks much more used than the other room did. So this to me seems like a classroom. And then this one is our final concept art image. And to me, it's while they're discussing the architecture. So I think this is just a little bit of a concept for what the Hogwarts castle on the outside, one bit of it, might look like. And it almost resembles one of the scenes that was in that ASMR video that we received this spring. This is the rainy spring night ASMR video. This to me looks like one of those scenes. So I think this is just an outside of the Hogwarts ground, and I don't think there's too much else in that image that I can see. But yeah, so that's all the images that were in the behind the scenes trailer that we got during the state of play. And yeah, just a little bit of analysis, zooming into those pictures and everything. So again, those are all concept art. So all of my theories and analyses are just based on this concept art and what they're providing us. The concept art is concept. It could not be in the game. It could be in the game. We don't know. But that's just sort of what they've provided us, and coming up with a little bit of theorizing as to where those places could be, what it could resemble, what it could mean for what's in the game and such. So yeah, if you liked the video, then hit that like button down below and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll be covering more content as we get closer and closer to the release date of Hogwarts Legacy. I'm assuming we'll probably get a release date pretty soon if it is coming out this year. So if it is, then yeah, I'll be covering that content. Subscribe to keep up to date with when those videos drop as well. But otherwise, we'll see you guys in the next time, and see you guys in Hogwarts Legacy.